One of the things that I feel like we can learn from men is we need to start having high standards. They have an idea of what they want and they won't settle for less, but we will all the time. I heard one of my mutuals on social media say, give a man 10 women and he'll keep looking. Give a woman 10 men and she'll choose. These men, they know what they want you to look like. They know how they want you to act. They want you to do this and cook. And they have all these expectations. And they will not give you a chance if you don't fit the criteria of what they are looking for. But we'll start here and we'll get impatient and then we'll end here. We did want a man who made a certain amount of money. Now he has to have a job at least. And, now it's taking longer. It's okay if he doesn't have a job. I'm a powerful woman. I don't mind working. And then we did at least want somebody we're attractive to. And now looks don't matter. And now we're dating Wile E. Coyote, trying to convince ourselves that it's the personality that counts, even though his personality is like a cup of water. At one point, you didn't want to date a man that had kids because that was your preference. And now all of a sudden, you're dating a man that has 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're taking care of all of them. You had a standard that even if you got into a relationship, you were going to focus on yourself and keep going to school and keep advancing in your career and keep improving yourself. And now you're in a relationship and you're so desperate for it that you've completely lost who you are. You dropped out of school. You've stepped down at your job. You're no longer working towards your goals. You stopped working on yourself. These men will not give up any of that shit. As a matter of fact, they'll get extended an opportunity and they'll break up with you before they give up on something that's going to better themselves. They'll keep going to the gym if that's what they want to do. They'll keep hanging out with their friends if they have friends. They will stay focused. At one point, you wanted a guy that was going to take you out to dinner. Now you're like, okay, a coffee date's fine. Well, I'm too old to be single, so a walk in the park is fine. You know what? Coming over to chill is fine at this point. We have no patience. And I get that society has conditioned us to believe that we got to hurry up and settle down and have kids and do all this shit. But now that we have the knowledge of what society is doing to us, now we know what we're up against and we can actively do the work to move forward. But it shouldn't be, well, society's making me do this, so I'm going to keep doing this. No. That's the biggest excuse I get from women. Well, society is conditioning me to believe that I want a husband. Yes, we know this. So now that you know that, we should be doing the work to move past that, not just sit and accept it. You have a right to get the man that you want, the way he looks, where he lives, how much money he makes, what he does for a living, how he treats you, if he has kids or no kids, where y'all live. You have every right, and you should set those expectations for yourself. And those expectations should not end if y'all get into a relationship. Let's say y'all get into a relationship and he decides he's going to quit his job and act stupid. Okay, well, that relationship should be over because your expectation was that your man worked. And I think that's another one of the biggest problems that we have in these relationships is some of us do start off with high expectations. But once we get into that relationship, we are still so desperate that when they finally flip the script because they think they got us hooked and they start acting a fool and they think we're not going to go anywhere, and most of us don't. Well, I don't want to start the dating process over again. Well, I don't want to be alone again. Nobody's perfect. And that's true. But there's a difference in being a human being who makes mistakes every now and then and a human being who is taking advantage of you. There's a huge difference. And when you have these standards, these men will laugh at you and say you're being unreasonable. You know why? Because they're trying to get you to bring your standards down to where they can get a chance with you because they know that they ain't shit. You have to be willing to be by yourself. You have to be willing to be patient and wait. Because as long as you're like, well, I'm over 25, I want to hurry up. I'm over 30, I'm over 40, time is ticking. As long as you have that mindset, you're always going to get the low-hanging fruit. You're always going to get the acorns that have fallen on the ground. You're always going to get the crumbs. You're always going to get the table scraps. You're always going to get whatever you're willing to accept, which ain't much. My friends who were in the most happy, healthy relationships had high standards, have high expectations, and they are of the mindset that if you ever get out of line, I will pack all this shit up and kick you the fuck out of here. They cannot be messed with. They do not play. That's what they have in common across the board. Now, the people that I know that are in the most unhealthy, unhappy relationships are the ones who just whatever. They take whatever. Fear of being alone is not a good reason to get into a relationship. The time clock ticking on you is not a good reason to get into a relationship. Fear that you don't have a lot of time or a lot of chances or, nobody's talking to me, so I may as well talk to. That is a horrible, unromantic reason to start a relationship. I don't want to get into a relationship with someone because I am afraid of what the other option might be if I am alone. God forbid you be alone. Being single is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Being in a relationship where you are used, abused, where you're just simply unhappy and you are miserable, that is the worst thing that can happen to you, because it's you and this other person's dead weight and bullshit also included into your life. This is why I'm trying so hard to get women to realize that we got to build community with each other. And I don't give me this bullshit. Well, women are catty, women are this, women, whatever. We got to all work together. That's why I keep pumping out this message. Because if we don't start leaning on each other, we're going to keep repeating the same pattern and believing that men are all. We're going to keep believing the same pattern and we're going to keep following the same pattern and believing that men are all we got. And that's simply not true. You got to look at the statistics. When women get sick, men are 7 times more likely to leave them, I believe. If a man finds another woman that he thinks can take care of him better, he will drop you. If a woman ends up in a nursing home in her old age, most of these men don't stick around to help her. We have to depend on each other. Our kids are the ones who wind up taking care of us because the husband skipped town. So don't tell me, well, women are this. I listen, I get it. You ain't got to tell me nothing. You can delete that comment now. I'm trying to solve the problem, and you're just repeatedly trying to tell me what the problem is. I get it. Let's start to move forward. And I like to believe that my community, you guys supporting my content, are like-minded women. So let's start there. But as long as we give men the power of thinking that they're all we got, we are working for their approval, they are the prize, we're never going to move forward, and we're never going to get anywhere.